In this lessons episode, you'll discover how to take bold steps in business, navigate high-stakes challenges, and turn innovative ideas into successful ventures. Learn about mastering crisis management, building confidence, and creating unique solutions to outshine the competition and drive lasting success. I see a lot of people that get into real estate and they start very small and they'll do fix and flips, or I'm not even a real estate guy, but I see what my friends do and I see them operate at a certain level, or they'll do like Airbnbs, or they'll get so many, multifamily. It seems like from the get-go, you really went, for these home run, large projects. So what enabled you? Was it the confidence? Was it the relationships? Was it the I'm not afraid to fail, I'll figure it out mentality? Because you went for these big projects almost immediately. You're building a build from the ground up. Like, you're coming out of University of Miami at whatever, 25, 26. That's not a small thing. A lot of people coming out of university are like, yeah, I'll buy my first house and I'll fix it up and I'll flip it in a year and a half. You're like, no, we're gonna we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this enormous development.
And I mean, I got to say that a lot of the confidence came from my father and his confidence in me. And then when you sit there and do it on the job, it's not that hard. You figure it out. My job, what I learned is the developer's job is a problem solving slash putting out fires kind of guy. Everything that has to do with money comes to us because we have to pay for it. So there's 100 ways to handle every situation. And I also had great people working with me that I learned a lot from. I learned how to build from my architect, Charles Seeger. He taught me so much on the construction side. I had a construction manager, AC Kid, who's no longer with us, greatest guy ever. He also taught me a lot about construction. So, you learn these things, you see it. You didn't know how to identify it with terminology, maybe what you saw happening, but you see it. And so you learn. It takes a little bit to really become an expert. I'd say after the third building, I really became a construction. I still don't call myself an expert, but I know enough to be dangerous. I know enough where a GC can't play with me, and they know that as well. Because I've done this before, and so, yeah, I guess I started with they say the only thing harder to build in a hotel is a hospital. And so I guess I started with the hardest form of construction going, which it was difficult. There were nights and days, and it was difficult. It was definitely difficult. But it was also figure it out, everything was a puzzle, figure it out. I love playing puzzles. I love playing cards. I love trying to figure things out. And as a matter of fact, that's where my father and I, where we split, responsibilities. At the time, he would say that he's the captain of the ship. He'd say, hey, we need to get to here, but I'm the navigator. I was like, I figured out how to get there, And so that's kind of where we did. He said, hey, he was the one who started the condo-hotel partnership with these guys, and then inherited it to me. I never thought that the condo hotel concept was such a great business. I said, why don't we just sell condos? People want to buy condos. We were sitting there convincing people that they want to buy a condo that they're not going to use and rent it out. And in reality, it's a great investment. It's a great thing to own if you're planning on coming to Miami less than a month a year. But it was just a difficult sell because it was a new type of product, and we had to teach people how it worked and explain to them the revenues and the splits. And then you always have these naysayers. Well, what if my room's not going to get rented? What if the hotel doesn't work? By the way, knock on wood, the hotel's been running since 2002, so we're 21 years, and it's doing unbelievable. I mean, the rates that we're getting today are 4 or 5 times what we thought we were going to get back in 2000. And so, all those stories we told people you're going to rent for so much, and it's all true. It all came true, and the rental works, and people are happy. I got 398 owners over there, all happy, all getting checks every single month for the last 21 years. Except for during COVID, we had an issue there in the hotel club.
So we'll talk. That's another crisis. We'll go into that because that's obviously a massive shift in the South Florida environment, right, and the people that moved down here and the money that came down here. Anyway, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it was selling a condo hotel back in 2001, 2002, which was a tough sell. Once we went into the condos, the Trump Palace, Trump Royale. Now I was selling condos with hotel services. So I was the first guy to really sell the hotel lifestyle in these condominiums, where you can order, a bottle of vodka from the hotel, and they'll bring it over at 3:00 in the morning, or order room service to your apartment, or have your full apartment catered by the hotel chef. And so we were doing that as the first one. That's before all these hotel chains got into the management, the Ritz-Carltons, the St. Regis's of the world, that's before they even got in there, we kind of created that concept. And it stemmed really from me being a New Yorker. And, you need a pack of cigarettes at 3 o'clock in the morning. You can call a bodega and it's there in 5 minutes, And I said, how come we don't have that here in Florida? We'd have to get in the car, go to the gas station if it's open. So I said, Florida needs that kind of, Miami needs that kind of, New Yorkness, I will.
Service.
And so
Yeah.
we sold it as part of the package. You bought in the condos, you have full access to the hotel, to the bars, to the beach, to the spa, etc. We still have and I still put spas in my buildings, but we didn't staff them with masseuses or with the people who do the facials and all that kind of stuff. The idea was it's in the hotel. When you want it, you just call them right over. They walk next door and they're there. So they're not sitting there on the association's dime, twiddling their thumbs and costing money to the association. So the concept went crazy. We sold these buildings out textbook. I sold out even the Trump Royale, 384 units, textbook, sold it out. But then we sold it out in 2006, 2005, 2006, built the building that was ready. I'll never forget this. It was 2008. The building was ready. I sent out closing notices on a Monday, and on Wednesday, Lehman Brothers collapsed. And we were like, holy shit, what's going to happen now? And that's when the struggle happened, and that's where I think really separated the men from the boys back then. I had 384 units at Royale that I think about 60 closed. I had 320 to sell. I had 890 units at Trump Towers, where like maybe 150 closed. And we had to buckle down and start selling. That was it. I went and I personally got on the phone with every single one of my contract holders. A guy had a $3 million apartment that was the problem here. The real problem back then was everybody put 20% deposits. So he had a $3 million apartment with $600,000 deposit. I'd say to him, hey buddy, listen, don't lose your deposit. I don't want us to take your 600,000. Let me apply it to something for $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be $1.5 million. We took prices down to $1 million. I applied it to the 600,000 and he would come and close. And that's how I was negotiating one by one with 800 people trying to get them to close. A lot of them just said, screw you, on and try and get my deposit back, and went to a lawyer. Then I was negotiating with a lawyer, and who I really learned what the term of keep your friends closer, your enemies closer. I took the lawyer to lunch. I said to him, look, you and I, we're going to be here after the fact. These clients are here today, gone tomorrow. We need to work together. And, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was an unscrupulous lawyer and threw his clients under the bus to make a fee. So it all, but this was about getting in there myself, not listening to a sales director, not listening to people, getting in there myself and making the calls myself and meeting with the people myself. And I really got my hands dirty in the trenches, negotiating with the banks, negotiating with I don't know if this is good to say on a public call, but negotiating with the bluff of, hey, take the keys back. I would have never given the keys back, but I always had to say, hey, you can take the keys back as my out. And so that's how we negotiated. We got good terms that were great for that. Listen, they got paid back. They got paid back in full. So everybody else who was discounting loans 50%, 60%, I walked on water when I got these guys back all their money, 100%, minus the interest, because they offered it back to me if I paid them back in time. So long story short, I was the only guy who paid back loans in 2011. At that time, we're sitting there all looking at each other saying, I was selling at $1,000 a foot. I just lowered my prices down to $500 a foot. Construction costs are even higher than that now. Post-COVID, post-crisis, everything changed. How am I going to sell the same exact 2,000, 3,000 square foot unit in the same market when I got my own product competing at less money? So, we all looked at each other and said, it's just simply not going to happen, So we said, well, let's change the game. And that's when we've heard that Porsche was looking for somebody to do something with, and we were able to link up with them. As a matter of fact, we linked up with them already in 2007. We signed the agreement with them in 2007 when we thought the world was going to continue forever. And when the crisis happened, we agreed to put a stay on the agreement that bought us a few years. But in that time, we got to play. We were playing with the architects. We weren't rushing to do something. And that's what gave us the time to figure out how to make this elevator. Everybody was not busy. Everybody meaning in the construction world. From the elevator departments in Miami, they weren't reviewing plans because nobody was starting new projects. So I had everybody's attention and I got everybody's excitement and I got everybody's buy-in on this thing. You know, this car elevator was a real coup to get done because it was more no's than yeses to get it done. And so I got everybody's buy-in on it because they weren't busy and they loved the concept. And we came in there politely and addressed every single one of their concerns, but by far more than they ever expected. And that's how we came up with this concept. And then we took to the market, and it was very interesting. We started, we went to the city to get the building approved as a site plan approval. And
Was that before the elevator concept, or was that?
no, as we were figuring it out, we didn't
Okay.
we figured out more or less how to build it. We didn't figure out who's going to build it. It was in the plans. We had renderings done. We had some virtual realities done, and we were code naming. The project was built on the site that was called Golden Nugget. So we code name our projects by the old site just so it doesn't get out in the press, et cetera, et cetera. The architect left on the plans Porsche Design Tower when he submitted to the city. And somebody in the press picked it up and it made front page of Yahoo Autos on Yahoo at the time. I don't know who uses Yahoo anymore, but Yahoo at the time. Football bread. And it went crazy. The phone started ringing. And people, I want to buy, I want to buy, I want to buy. And we weren't ready. All we had was a set of plans and an approval at the city. So we weren't ready. So my salespeople said, I have people I said, your people just want to see what this is all about. They're not for real. They just want to show and tell. I said, if anybody really, really, really wants to buy a unit like this and loves it so much, show me that they're that interested. Give me a check for $100,000. We'll put it in escrow and I'll sit down with them personally and show them the unit. We got 34 checks. 34 people stepped up for $100,000, sight unseen. I had meetings with them. I had to run to the Porsche design store. I said, hey, I'm gonna have a meeting with this guy, and he's gonna walk out with a Xerox. So I ran to the Porsche design store. I bought some sunglasses and pens to give them as a little gift as they walk out. And we sold 34 people sight unseen without even knowing. They just loved the concept of the elevator. And then we opened up the sales office, and that was it. I thought it was very important to show how the cars communicate with the unit. So we built these little dollhouse maquetas, like these little scale models, but they're dollhouse scale models. And they really help, show the picture. They really help kind of place the client in the unit, show them, how the car communicates with the living room, et cetera, et cetera. And we had some great videos on how the elevator was working. And our competitors were so scared. I'll never forget, there was this one jerk from the building next door who kept on telling people, oh, you're going to want to go to the opera at night and the car elevator is not going to work and blah, 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 blah. And that's how they were trying to sell their projects, not by selling their project, by scaring people into ours. And then so the buyer would come back, oh, he said the elevator's not going to work. I said, well, that's him.
It is.
Right? And then I made a point, because that really upset me during the construction. I made a point that when the building was open, we had our opening remarks and everything else. I had 2,000 people there. We opened the building. Alicia Keys came to sing. It was a big deal. And I made a point to say, you remember that guy? And everybody knew who I was talking about. And I'm not going to mention his name here. But I said, remember that guy who was telling everybody these elevators aren't going to work and this building's not going to work? I said, who's going to listen to that idiot now? And, that was, so it was almost like, I got my revenge by building the building properly and making everything work the way I promised it to. And
Good.
And discrediting my competition along the way.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found this valuable, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you want to dive deeper into this conversation, check out the links in the description to watch the full episode. See you in the next one.